welcome everyone to TJ and the Grumpy Old Man, a twice a week sports podcast that occurs every Thursday at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time and every Sunday at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. I'm your host, TJ, and with me here, as always, is the Grumpy Old Man. They say there's no shame in his game because he is always the same.
That's me.
Grump, how are you this evening? I know we've been doing a lot of coverage of the Stanley Cup Finals, covering game 2, 3, and 4 on this channel. But how are you? I've been working you like a dog, Grumpy.
True. No respect for me whatsoever.
Oh man. Today, we've got a few things that are going on in the world of sports. The NBA draft, which we're going to be covering. Man, I think you and I were talking before the podcast. Jeez, the picks come in so quickly.
I love the NBA draft. Not because I know any of the players, because I don't. Half of them, for who the heck knows where they are. I don't know them. They're all freshmen. Don't know hardly any of them. But it's fast. It's fast. Bing, bing, bing. I think they're already on pick 13, and I think it started like at 8.
Yeah, absolutely. Pick 13.
Or maybe it started at 10 after 9. I don't know. They're just rifling through these picks. I love it.
I was about to say, it's why they get through the entire draft in one evening, which is nice. It's one of the few sports that doesn't go ahead and go, oh, we'll do the first round on Thursday, the second and third rounds on Friday, and rounds 3, 4, 5, 6, and 7 on Saturday, like the NFL does. And
NFL can do that because they have that audience.
Yep.
So, 3 days, where it used to be 1 day a long time ago, then it went to 2 days, and now it's 3 days. And it's a TV event, right?
Yes. Yeah.
Unnecessary. Just tell me who my team picked. That's all I care about. And then you have hockey, which used to be 1 day event, and now it's 2. The first round on Friday, and then the next 6 rounds on Saturday. So, but they're pretty fast though too.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about, though, just to go ahead and give the review there. We're going to be talking about the NBA draft. We're going to be talking about NHL awards that have been handed out already. I guess they're not doing an award ceremony or not in the same capacity where it's actually worthwhile of watching. We'll talk about the few awards that have come out for the NHL. We'll talk about the Stanley Cup Finals. Colorado takes a 3-1 stranglehold in the series over the Tampa Bay Lightning. We're going to talk about that. We're going to speak a little bit about some crazy MLB performances here, Grump. That's always a great one to go ahead and talk about and discuss. We're going to talk about Roger Goodell back in the news once more, and you can imagine not for good reasons, Grump. So
he's like the human meat shield for the NFL. That's what he gets paid for. I mean, he gets paid very handsomely. What, $39-40 million, whatever he gets. He's a meat shield. He's there to take the slings and arrows of every media thing, anything that goes wrong. He's there to just take his whipping. It is what it is.
And we're going to talk today about Arch Manning, who is got right now for an incoming freshman the largest NIL deal so far in history, and you're not even at signing day, so he could be earning even more. He recently committed today to the University of Texas, the Longhorns, Grumpy. So he earned himself already a fat $3.1 million name, image, and likeness deal. I'm sure it has nothing to do with
how much?
$3.1 million name, image, and likeness deal already. So, hey, as other teams come forward to try to go ahead and win it, because, man, trust me, there's a long time until signing day, right? The early signing day is still many, many, many months away. What are we looking at, 6 to 8 months away? So you've still got quite a bit of time. I'm sure that other teams are going to come forward to say, we can offer you $5 million in name, image, and likeness. And I only would imagine Texas will be able to find additional dollars for a name, image, and likeness deal for Arch Manning.
Well, it's interesting. First of all, I don't think he's going to flip and go somewhere else. I don't believe that. But I think it's interesting because they have like the number 1 quarterback prospect coming in this year.
Quinn Ewers. Yeah, he was the number one quarterback. He was the number one overall recruit, number one quarterback prospect in the class of 2021. Originally committed, signed a name, image, and likeness deal, committed to Ohio State, and then went ahead after 1 year of Ohio State. He was the backup. CJ Stroud, has that starting spot pretty much down on lock. He determined to transfer from Ohio State to Texas, signed himself a big name, image, and likeness deal. So, ideally, I guess Arch Manning thinks, okay, maybe I'll redshirt my first year. And by that time period, Quinn Ewers will be, a junior. He'll be graduating, or he'll be going off to the NFL because he's going to be so fantastic at the University of Texas. And then I will be stepping in as a quarterback to start my sophomore, my redshirt freshman and redshirt sophomore year. So then he'll go after 3 years and be in the NFL draft then as well for Arch Manning.
We'll see how it plays out. I just thought it was interesting.
It was interesting.
We had
3.1 million already, though. Nuts.
There has to be some type of guarantees coming one way or another. But like I said, football players are the ones who are going to get paid the money. They bring in the most money out of any athletic sport.
Yep, absolutely. So just giving a little rundown of everything we're going to be talking about today. If you're new to the channel, welcome. We welcome you. We invite you to stick around a while. We invite you to subscribe on YouTube, like on Facebook, and to follow on Twitter. Yes, Grump.
No, I'm just snapping my neck. I've had a very difficult day today, and my neck is very tight. So I'm just kind of, you ever get like it? That's the noise it's making when I'm moving it.
What encompasses a very difficult day for you, Grumpy?
Having to deal with you.
Oh, there it is. There it is. That was,
was a layup for me. Talk about NBA. That's a layup. That's a slam dunk.
Jesus, low-hanging fruit. But let's talk. We'll first talk about what is on everybody's attention at the moment. The NBA draft. First overall pick goes Paolo Banchero from Duke to the Orlando Magic. Grumpy, want you to kind of go ahead and weigh in on that selection.
I think he's probably the most talented with what he can do. Chet Holmgren, yes, if he puts on about 75 pounds of muscle, might turn into be an NBA player. But Banchero's ready to go. I mean, he's got a man's body. I just wish he had a little bit more confidence, particularly going to Orlando. I mean, he's just not a lead dog to me. Not right now, anyway. Reminds me a little bit of Jason Tatum. Supremely talented, but does he have that killer instinct? Right now, we haven't seen it. And once again, all we saw was his freshman year, right? So it's tough to know. And sometimes it's nice. That's why you like to see players stay a little bit. They can develop where the longer they stay on campus, their confidence builds, where they're the big man there. And maybe they carry that over the pro, where after 1 year, it's kind of tough. And then you're a really small fish in a big ocean when you come to the NBA. We'll see, though. I do like his skill level, though, without a doubt. 6'10", 250, 255, and it looks like he's a point guard when he's taking the ball down the floor. He's talented, very talented.
He's another one of those guys that could definitely benefit from putting a few pounds on. But this is the Orlando Magic, right? This is one of those selections. I think you're right. You mentioned he kind of reminds you a little bit of Jason Tatum regarding the killer instinct and items of that nature. Not sure if he's got it yet. Top dog. If he performs or could grow into a player like a Jason Tatum as a first overall pick, I'd say that's wildly successful. How many first overall picks and these top 3 picks do we see in the NBA draft year after year that are just, they don't pan out? If he could project to be a player of a Jason Tatum caliber, that I would say that would be a wildly successful pick. And it took Tatum a while to get to that point too.
He's still not there, in my opinion.
Well, I'm just saying he's a top 10 player in the NBA, no doubt about it. And I'm just saying, if you get a top 10 player in the NBA with your first overall selection, that's a successful pick.
But you're there to win championships. It's not about how many all-star games I can go to or any of that stuff. I mean, it's about you have to win championships. He was miserable in the finals, just miserable. He shrunk from the occasion. I'm sorry. That was my concern with him going in. It's still my concern with him.
Yeah. I mean, I think it's a good selection there. by the Orlando Magic. He's a guy who's got to put on some weight, but again, most of these young men do as freshmen. Now, you had mentioned the number 2 overall pick in the draft here, Chet Holmgren, grumpy old man. A guy who looks like he could afford to put on a few pounds. He could afford to hit the weight room, afford to hit a few Big Macs. A guy who is very talented around the rim, a big center. Right. This year. It's kind of the first time we've seen this in a while regarding NBA drafts, right? You had all big men selected the first 4 picks, power forwards and centers, no small guys, no guards.
He's
Usually see one sprinkled in, but this year, first 4 picks, all power forward / centers, and Chet Holmgren, the center, number 2 off the board there.
He's not a center. He's not a center. He might have center size, but he plays like small forward. He's too slight. I mean, who's the kid the guy with the porn mustache and the little thing around his head, the headband? What the hell's his name? He was the center for that team. What's his?
Timmy. Timmy.
That's it. That's it. I hate him. That guy right there. He was the center on that team, not Holmgren. He's not big enough. Matter of fact, I look at him now and I think Sean Bradley when he came out, just rail thin.
He's one of those guys that I feel like has a huge risk, huge reward type factor for him.
Yeah, but he's a project. He is not ready to play in the NBA. He's just not physically strong enough. I mean, they even told me, "Yeah, going to get you in the weight room." Yeah, no shit. Because that kid's got to add at least, I mean, minimum 25 pounds of muscle. He looks like he's from Auschwitz. He is so freaking skinny. And here's the thing, he looks skinnier when he plays. That's a very flattering picture for him right there.
Did they make sure to go ahead and add a little bit? They added some filters to make him look a little more muscular. Is that what it is, Grumpy?
That shirt is awful puffy. That's a puffy shirt from Seinfeld, the puffy shirt episode.
Yeah, I think they kind of just went ahead and made
the kid is reed thin. I mean, like I said, I've seen him play, and yeah, he can shoot the ball, but man, he's just so damn skinny. It looks like they added some muscle to him too. It looks like I don't know what the heck they did. That's obvious.
When they make these cuts, they grab a jersey from Oklahoma City, and what they do is they go ahead and edit it in like photo editor, so like GIMP or Photoshop, etc. And what they do is they cut out the edges and they go ahead and paste this over his body. That's why it looks like it's much thicker than his body actually is. They do the same thing with the shorts.
Yeah, I'm just looking at his arms too. I don't think he's even that big.
Man, he looks skinny. This is, again, a guy who is a high risk, high reward type player. Will take a while to develop. But, I mean, OKC, look what they've done today, right? They went ahead. They drafted him. They drafted him number 2 overall. They traded with the Knicks to acquire the 11th overall pick. And it wasn't like, right, because OKC had the 12th overall pick. It wasn't like they moved up one spot to go ahead and get a player that they really wanted. They drafted Asamani Dang from, I believe he played in New Zealand. They went ahead and traded. What's that?
France. The Knicks drafted the kid from France.
Yeah, he played for the New Zealand Breakers, but yeah, he's from France. That's correct. So they drafted Dang, who again is another one of these very raw prospects. And you look at him.
You know what? Just before we get too much into that, you know what I hate? The announcers. There's some girl announcer who's like the lead dog on this, and of course the Dang kid was drafted and he was booed by the Knicks fans. Oh, don't feel bad. It's just New York and that's what they do. I'm like, stop making excuses. They booed him because he's a freaking nobody and a bad pick by the Knicks. Picking anybody from freaking France, sorry. Unless it's making
good French players before. Come on.
Unless I need somebody to make French toast or French pastries, I'm not drafting anybody from France. Or if I want somebody to just roll over whenever the German comes into the country, then I'll pick somebody from France. But I'm not picking to be a basketball player.
Oh, come on.
I predict bust from this kid. The Knicks do that a lot. They draft a lot of guys from foreign countries who turn out to be nothing. Just nothing.
Well, I mean, the Knicks I'm sorry. So the Knicks didn't draft him, Grump. The Knicks trade back. So that's not the Knicks pick, just to correct you before you ran me off. I was trying to give you the information before you ran me off. It was originally the Knicks pick. They traded it to the Oklahoma City Thunder. So that's that the Knicks didn't pick, they traded out. They didn't trade back one spot with the Oklahoma City Thunder, as I was telling you before you ran me off. But the Oklahoma City Thunder traded up, and apparently they traded multiple first-round picks, whatever that means, right? They still, I don't think, has been announced exactly what the implications of that trade were. So Oklahoma City Thunder had the second overall pick. They went ahead and traded up to get the 11th overall pick and had the 12th overall pick in this year's draft. The Knicks, I think they were looking for a guard, Grumpy, a specific guard, maybe a guy like, I don't know. Maybe they're hoping Ivy was going to drop to them. I can't remember who it was that they were looking for, but okay, Johnny Davis, Drew L says here.
He went number 10.
Johnny Davis is going to drop, and he was gone off the board at that time period. So the Knicks have not had a first round pick yet, Grump.
Well, it says possible trade to OKC is what it says.
It's okay. It's been reported here, a trade to OKC. And this is by the New York Post. The Knicks trade the 11th overall pick in the 2022 NBA draft to the Oklahoma City Thunder. And all it says is the 11th overall pick for the Frenchman there, where it was selected there by Oklahoma City Thunder. Dang. Adrian Wozniacki says here that that the Knicks would receive multiple first-round picks from the Thunder in return. The 12th overall pick owned by the Thunder was not part of the deal. So.
Okay. Well, you want to know why OKC is picking at the bottom every year, early in the draft, before dumb moves like that. So everything I just said about the Knicks, just flip it over to OKC. Same thing. I'm not drifting anybody from frickin' France. Sorry, Frenchie.
They went, so OKC also drafted Jalen Williams there from Santa Clara, the junior. So they got a few players. They've gotten 3 picks inside the top 13 or top 12 selections. This year's draft is a deep draft. They say it's about 40. I've seen some general managers and some scouts say it's about 40 players deep, where you could find value even into the second round, which isn't always the case with these NBA drafts. So OKC making a statement, a bold statement. Again, a lot of project players is what it seems like. Dang is a project player, and the same thing with Chet Holmgren. But, I don't know what the first round picks they gave up to the Knicks were, but the Knicks may be very happy with that trade long term. And then the Rockets at number 3 overall selected Jabari Smith there from Auburn, Grump.
Yeah, okay. He was okay for Auburn this year.
He was more than okay. Come on.
Yeah, I just don't think the players are that good. I don't know. They say it's a deep draft. I don't know. I'm just not impressed. Banchero was okay, but he doesn't have a killer instinct. The number 2 kid, sorry, no. I mean, he needs, like I said, seriously, legitimately 25, 30 pounds of muscle before he can even sit on the bench.
I mean, he could go ahead and put that type of muscle on. It's not going to be overnight, but he could do that.
Yeah. Okay.
You don't think so?
He reminds me of Sean Bradley, who, when he played for BYU and came out, I think he was a 3rd overall pick for the Philadelphia 76ers back in the day. Another guy, I think he was 7'6" and reed thin. Those guys don't make it in the NBA. You see the way the playoffs were played? Physicality. The bodying guys all over the place. Just take a seat, son. Come back. Wow. Come back in 3 years from now.
The Knicks, by the way, are trading Kemba Walker to Detroit.
So what? He's finished.
They're going to aggressively pursue Jalen Brunson this summer as well, is what they're going to do, apparently. So Knicks are on the board making some moves. So John M saying, yep, Auburn Smith drafted 3rd overall. Yes. Drew L saying, my Knicks traded back. Not surprised considering Johnny Davis got picked by Washington.
Yeah. I don't know. Okay. I know that's the guy they targeted, so I don't blame them for trading out. I'm sure they talked to OKC and said, what do you want? Oh, we want this kid from France. No problem. You'll give us multiple first. We'll pick him. No problem.
I just wonder if maybe it's a lottery protected first round pick next year and picks later on. I don't know. OKC's like when I heard that trade, right? Multiple first, that would imply it's down the road in the future. I assume they're not talking about a 2025, 2026, and 2027 first round pick. I'm not sure what it entail, but that could be one that OKC is scratching their head saying, "Man, we really screwed the pooch on that one for the 11th overall pick. We were really timid that Dang wouldn't be there." My God,
at 12, at 12, at 12. At 12, one more pick at 12. They thought Frenchie Cordero was going to go. Everyone's hot for him. He's not, like I said, waffles are more important than French toast.
Oh, good gracious. So the NBA draft is off in full swing, Grump. As always, some bold moves made by some teams. Joseph C. What's up, Joseph? Says here, James Dolan is the worst owner in sports. Why can't he pick a competent general manager to fix the Knicks?
He likes yes men. Teams are bad. They're bad from the top down.
The fish rots from the head.
Very true.
So the Hornets had 2 selections also in this year's first round. They had 2 selections in the top 15. Selected Jalen Duren, a center there from Memphis, and selected Mark Williams, the center from Duke. Big men, obviously, there on the board for the Charlotte Hornets, Grump.
I like the Mark Davis pick. I really do. He's like really, really good on the defensive end. His offensive game can use a little bit of work, but he's
sorry, I meant to say Mark Williams. If I said Mark Davis, I meant to say Mark Williams.
Yeah, I knew who you were talking about. He's a rebound machine. He's really good. I love that pick for the Hornets. The other guy from Memphis, wasn't that the guy who couldn't manage to stay on for some reason he never wound up playing because he had issues getting into the school? And he wound up not playing at all for Memphis.
Recruit. I can't remember. I thought he was a very, very highly rated recruit.
And he wound up not even playing, right?
I've got to look. I can't remember what the story behind him was.
If that's the case, you know what? Roll the dice on talent. No problem there either.
He was the 7th overall recruit on ESPN, and
he didn't play much for them, though, right?
And on 24/7 Sports, a 5-star, 6th overall recruit there. So again, he was one of those top 10 guys.
But I don't even think he played. There was some type of issue why he wound up not playing for them. Maybe it was somebody else for Memphis. They're another one of those schools that's always on the razor's edge of, cheating and not cheating.
Oh, I'm sorry. Hold on. Did they trade out? God damn. I'm not getting the updates on who's traded out already. Gosh darn it. The Hornets traded out of that pick with the freaking Pistons. Okay. God almighty. My mistake, guys. So the Hornets traded out of that pick. They did draft Mark Williams, though, the center. That's what I thought was odd. 2 centers. I was like, okay, but I think they traded with the Pistons based off of what I'm seeing. Man, my mistake, Grumpy. Here I am giving false information left and right.
What a shock.
Oh, man. I'll try to get it as it starts to come in. There's so many trades that happen so quick. You got to forgive me, Grump. I'm trying to multitask. Joseph C. says here, I don't like the Holmgren pick for OKC when Smith was out there, but they do have a ton of first-round picks they can use to trade for quality players. They do have a lot of first-round picks next year and the year after, so maybe they're not trading away their first-round picks. Maybe they're trading away first-round picks from other teams.
That works. Then that works. Not necessarily for Frenchie, but for Holmgren.
Frenchie Cordero, right, Grumpy?
Frenchie Cordero, French fries, French pastry, whatever. Oui, mademoiselle.
Oui, Grumpy says. And, oh, shit. I'm seeing the memes. Hold on a second. Oh, good gracious. I'm seeing the memes now. Do you remember the last time the Charlotte Hornets traded the number 13 overall selection?
It was Kobe Bryant.
Yes.
I remember that.
Yep.
I remember that. I'm like, okay, they finally did. And it's like, no. He said, I want to play for that. And and here's the thing. The Hornets got Vlade Divac and I don't know what else.
Christ almighty. I was about to say, the Hornets just traded 13th overall pick. Last time they did that, it didn't go too well for them.
Here's the thing: they're a loser franchise. I mean, they're like a non-entity in this town. I live in Charlotte. Who cares? Michael Jordan is the owner. He got him for a song, and he just run the organization to the ground. He doesn't know what he's doing. Sorry. They've just, maybe they make the playoffs, get beat in the first round, or they don't make the playoffs. They're just like one of those treadmill teams. Just go for the best talent.
I tell you, they did make the right pick though when they went off the board and got Ball. I'll tell you that much, LaMelo. So I mean, he's played well for them.
How long before he leaves? When's his contract up? You think he's re-signing here? I don't
know, Grumpy. Denver's Athletic there. Deal was close while the Hornets acquired the 2025 Milwaukee first round pick. Detroit's
2025. 2025. So whoever they're going to pick.
They don't know the exact link yet, but they said that apparently Athletic first reported that the deal was close when Adrian Wozniacki said that the Charlotte was requiring the 2025 first round pick, and that Detroit was receiving from Portland in the Jeremiah Grant trade. So I don't know. Maybe it's a three-way deal. I don't know, Grumpy. It happens so quick, and it's not like with the NFL, it comes in, they say, this is the exact item that's been traded. So there's a whole bunch of the movement that still gets done.
Can I just tell you one thing? We should not comment on the NBA draft until it's over.
I was about to say, we can't do this anymore because it's going to be tough because everything moves so quick and we don't have everything out.
Well, and things change.
Yes. John M saying here, Smith disappeared for Auburn in big games this year, but a hell of a talent.
Because again, like I said, I saw him playing I think they played 2 tournament games, and I wasn't overly impressed with him. I don't know if he was a guy who went 0 for whatever in a game that he played. There was one guy who couldn't hit a shot, and he was like their big player. Maybe it was Smith. I don't know. But somebody's got to have a clutch gene somewhere, don't they?
You'd think.
You would think. Who hits the big shot? It's important.
Drew L said, I'm not shocked that AJ Griffin is falling. Mott sold on him.
He just got drafted by the Atlanta Hawks.
Yep. Just drafted by the Atlanta Hawks. And
but he slipped.
Sorry, the Knicks got Duren, Hornets got Williams, Pistons got Kemba. Okay, so gotcha. The Pistons this is what I mean. It's impossible to do the NBA draft because there's so many trades, and if I'm not watching it live, it's really tough. Okay, so the Pistons must have traded in that pick. They used the pick, or the Hornets selected Duren, then they traded him to Detroit, who then traded him to the Knicks for Kemba Walker. So that's kind of what that looks like. Three-player deal.
The Pistons have to be getting something in that deal. Kemba Walker can't play anymore. His knee is bone on bone. He hasn't been able to play. They couldn't wait to get rid of him for the last 2 years in Boston. And they found the sorry Knicks, exactly the sorry Knicks, to take him. And he couldn't play there either. He can't play anymore. His knee it's bone on bone. He could play a game or two, then he's got to sit a week or out. I mean, it's like, come on. So the Pistons have to be getting something in exchange, a lot. Maybe all those first-round picks from OKC. Who the heck knows?
I don't know, man. I don't know. We'll see. Joseph C. said, what? You mean that Michael Jordan is not a great evaluator of talent? Not when he took Kwame Brown at number 1. Oh, yeah. My God.
He's not. I mean, great player, not a front office guy. Sorry. And, sometimes they don't sell seats there, empty arenas. Well, you know how you stop that? Have Michael Jordan autograph night. It'll sell out every night. Every night. Hey, come get an autograph, a picture and an autograph from the owner, Michael Jordan. Everyone would go. That's how you want to get attendance up. That's what you got to do.
Yeah,
I can't even watch their games. Honestly, I can't even watch them. It's almost impossible to watch regular season basketball games.
He said the Pistons got Duren and Walker. The Knicks acquired Duren from Charlotte and then shipped him to Detroit. Okay,
so they got Duren, so they would take on Walker.
Okay,
that's
how they got rid of Walker.
Okay.
By the way, TJ, did you see that Kyrie is most likely leaving Brooklyn? The Knicks run New York. That's what Drew L says.
Oh, run
Yeah.
him into the ground. The next,
Brooklyn's results, simple as that, weren't good enough this year. I mean, they're another team that was just banged up. It feels
no,
like all year long. All these age superstars just cannot stay healthy and play, an 82 game season. Even with the load management, they're still missing games left and right due to injury grump.
that's what happens when you get older. You are more injury prone, and it's tougher to come back from injuries. And that's in every sport.
And basketball is a sport to where, man, oh man, the amount of cunning you're doing every single every every minute you're out there, and the amount of movement you got to make, it really could wear down on the body.
Well, just athletic ability doesn't last forever.
Yeah.
True greats can play a long time, but regular players, no.
Let me tell you this. I know that real quick to talk one more time about the Charlotte Hornets before we move on from the NBA draft. I feel like the Hornets always get branded as a team that draft Duke, Chapel Hill, or NC State grad, or maybe Duke or Chapel Hill guys all the time. You look at you go back to Raymond Feltons, the Sean Mays, the Gerald Hendersons. Always it seems like they're drafting some prospect or some player from North Carolina. Does it bother you again that it seems like another guy from Duke is the guy who they draft? It just seems like that's who they're prone to. Guys from Duke and Chapel Hill just happen to be the first round picks they always select.
I think Mark Williams is a good piece, though. He's really going to automatically improve their interior defense and their rebounding. Automatically. He's good. He's really good. Now, is he a generational talent? No. But how many generational talents are there in the NBA draft? You can't even tell, honestly, because they're all 18, 19 years old. You're old if you're getting drafted at 20. How many players really, is every player their best when they're 18 or 19? No.
He's a sophomore, so he's whatever, 19, maybe 20. So, it took him a little extra time. That being said, want to shift gears a little bit and talk some NHL. Stanley Cup Finals. Colorado again has a stranglehold on the series, up 3-1, returning back to Colorado to try to close out the series in Game 5 against the Tampa Bay Lightning. John Cooper, a little upset with a possible 6 men on the ice call. He talks about it. And obviously, as you put it so endearingly, Frankenstein says that's just part of the game. Got to get over it.
I just want to say one thing.
Go ahead, Grumpy. I'll let you talk about it, and then we'll show the clip of the alleged possible 6 men on the ice.
Okay. The NHL statisticians put the players on the ice, put 6 players on the ice for Colorado.
And then
when they sent down what was official, and then they had to edit it later. Okay. So that tells me absolutely there were 6 guys on the ice without a doubt. But I didn't hear Tampa Bay crying when they had 6 guys on the ice and when they beat the Islanders and scored the winning goal against them in Game 7. I didn't hear John Cooper complaining, let's take it back.
Yes. And this is exactly what you're talking about. This is what came out. So the official score summary by the NHL statisticians have, as you could see, 6 skaters on the ice for Colorado.
And the
goal doesn't happen very often, by the way. It's not like that happens or on like a regular season goal. It's like, oh yeah, 6 guys on. That's not something that occurs very often. If it does, usually it's brought to the attention. But they did. It took them like 10 minutes. You got to edit that. You got to edit that real quick to have 5 guys on the ice. So yes, that's what caused originally people to look a little closer into it. But you're right, Grumpy. Good catch on that. They did originally in the score sheet have 6 men on the ice at the overtime goal based off of the NHL statisticians. An odd one for certain.
How does it make the NHL look?
Like a freaking joke.
Like a clown show. Sorry, NHL. You look really, really bad. And, well, it's not reviewable. Well, you know what? It should be. Because with everything they review, his skate was a millimeter over the stop. Either use instant replay for everything or nothing at all. Don't be selective. And let's be honest. I'm not saying that Tampa Bay would have won that game yesterday. The best team won. Okay? Best team won. But that's a penalty right there. You should not get the benefit of having a goal scored. I'm sorry. And then you go back and it's like, hey, too many guys on the ice, and you just ignore it. And then you go and, this is what they do, right? They cover up the evidence after the fact.
That's the shit that makes me more pissed off about anything else, is that they just go ahead and say, "Oh, nothing to see here. It's not reviewable." They talked with the officials afterwards, but nothing else came of it. But they can't. It is typical NHL. It is worth saying this. I agree. Colorado carried all of the action in overtime, right? Colorado was the better team, but you're right. Who knows? Tampa goes on a power play because there's too many men on the ice, and clearly it benefited them in a goal. They have had that benefit them in the past, just like as you'd mentioned, in the Eastern Conference Finals last year, when there were 7 skaters on the ice. There were 7 skaters when the goal was scored, I believe the overtime winning goal against the Islanders, but there was no, John Cooper wasn't complaining then,
I don't
and
think it was
Barry Trotz
overtime.
was livid.
It wasn't overtime, but it was the goal that won the last game 1-0. There were too many men on the ice.
Well, no, the last game that won them 1-0, that was on the penalty kill. They're on the penalty kill. That was a different game.
And they still had too many men on the ice.
Anyway, right? So that is the part that makes them look like a clown show. Number one, the officiating, that they don't call anything and just shove the whistles down in their pockets, boarding, slashes, cross checks that don't get called towards the tail end of the games, right? It happens on both sides, multiple infractions committed, but because it's playoff hockey, we got to go ahead and let them do whatever they want, take free liberties, cross checks, boardings, no issues. And this right here is just, it won't get a lot of publicity because it's the NHL.
And they covered it up. And they covered it up.
NHL community, people are a little upset with it, and they should be. A power play for Tampa, even though they were dominated, could result in a goal because that's a penalty, and it resulted in a goal for Colorado.
Well, see, that's the biggest thing. The not making that call, and it's not a judgment call. Oh, well, it's a judgment. No, it's not a judgment call. If there's 6 guys on the ice, there's 6 guys on the ice. They had it earlier in the game where their guy got hit by the puck trying to get off. That should have been a penalty, and they just ignored it.
And
sorry,
it was right at the end of the second period, and within the first minute, or technically, right, Tampa should have been on a power play. In the first minute, they take a penalty, and then in the second period, immediately Colorado goes ahead and ties up the game and scores a goal on the power play. Right, they shouldn't even have been in a position to give up a power play opportunity because they should have been on the power play instead of 5-on-5 hockey.
6 men on the ice is not a subjective call. There are either 6 guys on the ice or there's not. I mean, that's the problem I have. But like I said, and I realize why Cooper, did that. But here's the thing. They benefited last year against the Islanders. So, here's the thing. 2 wrongs don't make a right, but it makes the NHL look really bad. The thing that makes this worse, it leads to an overtime goal.
Yes.
I mean, that's what makes it look worse.
It wasn't like, okay, it was just a missed call and it kind of gets put under. You're right. It's the overtime goal. And the statisticians put 6 guys. This is what the NHL hockey operations commented at the overtime of game 4. He says, a too many men on the ice penalty is a judgment call. Bullshit. That can be made by any of the 4 on-ice officials. Following the game, hockey operations met with the 4 officials, as is their normal protocol. In discussing the winning goal, each of the 4 officials advised that they did not see too many men on the ice situation on the play. The call is not subject for video review either by hockey operations or on-ice officials.
Can I tell you what happened after the game? Because there was a delay. There was like, oh, shit, did they score? Did they not? It's like, okay, all the officials went back into the room. Let's get our story straight. Yeah, we know there were 9 guys on the ice. We didn't see that though.
And
everybody stick to your story. Stick to your story, and we're going to get out of this okay.
Yep, as they always do. They don't give a shit. So here is the actual clip in question, and we'll let you guys be the judge, right? I know we have talked a little bit about it right ahead of time, saying we think there's 6 guys on the ice. There certainly is. This will go ahead and break it down for us, bro. And this is why the scores. Here's our guy. Here's our 6th man on the ice. This is Kadri right here.
I don't see anybody coming off. Wow, that's horrible.
That's more than 5 foot. Right? It has to be 5 foot from the bench in order to make a change. That's the general rule of thumb. And it's not like he's the one making the change.
Oh my God,
It's McKinnon
no.
over here. He was still on the freaking ice the time. Look how long it takes him dragging his ass to get off the freaking ice.
Yeah, you're not allowed to get on the ice until it should be simultaneous or very
Jeez
close.
Christ,
That was not.
bad.
That's a terrible blown call. And here's the thing: they know it. They know it. And it's like,
Yes.
it's not like you can't do anything about it now. Too late. And here's the thing: doesn't matter. Tampa's not as good as Colorado, but
Maybe a power play for Tampa allows them to get a lucky goal because they weren't the better team last night, but a power play may give them the chance to score that.
see, even on the bench, they knew something was wrong. Even on the bench, they knew something was wrong
Because they didn't immediately call it as a goal.
That's right.
Even though it was in, right? Official could see all the
look at the coaching staff. Look at the coaching staff, how they react. They don't.
It's not the reaction you usually. Here's the thing. They know if the puck goes in the freaking net. The official staring right at it knows if the puck's trickled in the net. The people on the bench know if the puck goes in the net. But when you see, that's not the reaction usually you would expect after a Game 4 winner in the Stanley Cup Finals in overtime. That's not the not the expectation you'd have from officials or from the coaches like, the official looking right at it doesn't immediately call it a goal. I'm not taking it that we couldn't
4
see
seconds. It's 4 seconds before that guy gets off the ice. Well, actually, no, from when the other guy comes on. Let's watch it. Just do a count. Okay, he's on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 seconds. Sorry. That doesn't pass the sniff test to me. Does not pass the smell test. Sorry.
The shitty thing about it is I think the cover-up, the NHL putting the 6 guys in the cover, right? Because this is a blatant mistake. It is a mistake. I still think Colorado's the better team. They deserved the win last night. But the cover-up of the mistake is the shit that drives me nuts. That's the thing that drives me over the edge because it's them looking so unbelievably. It's them looking incompetent and then going, well, hold on a second. We need to cover our tracks. I know how we can do that. We could just go ahead and make this disappear.
What they should have come out, we made a mistake. That's what they just should have come out. Yup, they missed. They should have come out and said, we missed the call. Sorry, Tampa, we missed the call. Because mistakes do happen. But don't lie about it. Don't tell me he's staring at it. The official was staring at it, and he didn't get it. He's staring at it. He wasn't watching anything but that. He saw all those guys on the ice, and he sees the other guy getting off. Automatically, he should have went around and counted. Oh, no. Sorry.
I will be interested to see how many power plays they try to give Tampa to make contrition for that blatant mistake. I think, whether they win Game 5 or not, I think Tampa's going to receive a whole bunch of power plays on possibly ticky-tack calls that maybe Colorado won't get to try to make contrition for this hideous mistake of the NHL.
But they don't do that. The NHL doesn't do that.
Oh, no, they don't. I know they've had Poole and Tim Poole, I believe it was, and other NHLs that are kind of on a hot mic saying, oh, yeah, we're looking a way to try to even that up and get that penalty back early. And they sit on hot mics in the regular season.
But they make mistakes.
Yes, they're human.
It's true. And yes, they try to help the other team out. Oh, we made a mistake. So if something's close going the other way, we're going to try to even it up. I understand that. That was real bad though yesterday.
How often do you see in the Stanley Cup Finals where one team might have 4 power plays and another team has 0 or 1? Thing is, that is a commonplace in the regular season to where you'll see more power plays in one team in favor than the other. And in the playoffs and the Stanley Cup Finals, it's pretty even. Maybe it's one team will get 1 more. It's not like, one team got 5 power plays, the other team only got 1. That doesn't really happen all that often in the Stanley Cup.
They let a lot of stuff go in the playoffs.
Yep. How can we get this as even as possible and let the boys earn it on the ice? Drew L said, I was just going to say Tampa had too many men on the ice on the goal they scored in Game 7. Yeah, they definitely did.
The reason why it not getting scrutinized, it didn't get scrutinized last year as opposed to this one is it was the middle of the second period. So, okay, it wasn't that big a deal. It wasn't until well after the game. But this one here, that ended the game in overtime. That was the thing that really made it stand out.
Mario says a puck accidentally hitting a skater during a player substitution is not that's not correct. It's called the Dickie Moore rule. Mario, every single time when they make a change in the regular season and it hits somebody who was getting off the ice, it's been a penalty 182 games out of the 82 game regular season. That is certainly a penalty.
It happens
The
all the
Leafs
time.
during the Dickie Moore used the time intentionally to shoot the puck at players' skates to get too many men on the ice calls. Every single time, if it hits a player's skates inadvertently as they're making a change, it's counted immediately as too many men on the ice, because it is. It inadvertently hit him every single time. That's always called. I can't recall how many times did they get called against the Islanders on that. It happens all the time. Here's the thing. They benefited from it last year. They were the better team last year. They were still probably beating the Islanders last year, even with the too many men on the ice.
Yes.
But so it happens, right? You're going to benefit from it. Sometimes you get the bear, sometimes you get the bull. He also says the 5-foot rule states that outgoing players are deemed not to be on the ice. You also need to see if McKinnon has 2 skates on the ice during those 5 seconds. 2 skates on the ice rule. Okay, it's more than 5 foot. It doesn't matter the 5 seconds.
He was probably at center ice when he had both feet on the ice. He was at center ice. That's not even close.
Hasn't been
not even close.
Mario, it's been a penalty all year long, man. Come on. Yeah, look at you. Come on. You know that. Look at all the calls the Islanders got called against them and the power plays they've received for it. I feel like the next time we see that in the regular season, when it inadvertently hits somebody's skates as they're making a change, they get blown for too many men on the ice, we'll have to say, yeah, it's there. And it's in the rule book. Again, Mario, it's called like that all season long. It's also in the rule book that you're not allowed to 2-hand cross check somebody in the back. Doesn't mean they call it all the time, but with a cross check, it happens all regular season. If they got 6 guys on the ice and they're making a change and it hits somebody's skate or hits somebody's stick who's trying to get off the ice, it's a penalty for too many men on the ice because they interrupt play as they have 6 guys on the ice. It's always a call. It always has been. Drew L also says, I get why John Cooper's complaining, but like, come on, dude. You're not better than Colorado. Yeah, True. He's not, but that's, I think, why he's complaining. He knows, like, holy shit, we're done. I think he knows that they're done. They are done. But I really do believe the NHL is going to try to make contrition for the mistake and the missed call.
Tampa Bay got worn out by Colorado. Colorado just too fast, too athletic, just wearing them out. That is the whole thing about this series. They got worn out.
I'll just show it one more time. He's off.
2 foot on the ice.
You're not able to see the guy making the change on the ice. This is more than 5 foot. I could tell you based off of that. If I'm just assuming his foot, let's say, we could just extrapolate. Maybe he's got really small feet. Maybe he's got 8-inch feet.
Neither of these guys are going. Neither of those guys are going off.
I know. That's what I'm saying. Let's look. I'm just saying based off of the ice that we could see. Let's assume right here the guy that we're able to see in the frame has really small feet.
Guess what else? Guess what else? The NHL has really incriminating, like the top view, like the all 22. They have that also. There's no way you're going to see that get released because that really embarrassed. But they have that, and I guarantee you, the guy who's coming off the ice was probably at the center. He was probably at the blue line. Look at this.
Here is more than 5 foot. This is more than 5 foot.
I mean, come on.
You can maybe make a change from here and say, yeah, it's within 5. Again, it's a moot point. Colorado's the better team. I just don't like the fact that they wrote 6 men on the ice because it was, and then they had to cover up to change it to try to wash the image. People with social media, people catch that shit. You can't be making dumb things like that and try to change it and cover it up real quick. And maybe before social media, that's fine. It's not like you catch a whole bunch of heat for it. But with social media, all that shit's known. They find all that stuff out. Him right here is more than 5 foot. You can make a change from this point, in my opinion. I don't really care. It's close enough.
That has to be.
He's already gone out of the frame. The guy who's gone on the ice is out of the frame.
This guy now. He's
not even a frame.
Keep going. Right here, he's probably about 12, 15 foot from the net, from the bench. He's at least 12 foot from the bench. And there he is. I mean, he was barely, and you know why he had to do that? Because he had to get back on side. Because if Kadri's coming in, he's offside. Yep. So he's got to circle out so Kadri gets put on side.
Yep. Yeah.
I mean, it's terrible. And again, it's like this every single year. It is what it is. We are going to talk something about
last year when the Islanders got screwed over when Tampa had 7
talked about
guys on the ice the time the goal was scored. 7.
No, it was 6. It was
It
6.
was 7.
No,
I pulled it up, and I could pull it up
no,
again. It was
no, no,
7 guys, it was 7 guys on the ice.
no. It was a shorthanded situation, and they had 6 guys on the ice. Here's the thing. It was too many guys on the ice. We talked about it. We counted the guys. Absolutely counted the guys. And it was too many guys on the ice.
Yeah.
So it is what it is. Did you say we were going to talk a little bit about Deshaun Watson today? Was that going to be part of the Roger Goodell thing?
I wasn't really talking about Deshaun Watson. I wasn't planning on talking.
They did. Okay. Well, I'll touch on that later.
Yeah, we can definitely talk on that. Hold on. I'm trying to get this pulled up here. Yeah, it was 7 guys on the ice. I just want to show you, just for record-keeping purposes.
Guys on the ice. I believe you. There was too many guys on the ice, without a doubt.
We're just going to show it just for. Oops, my mistake. I pulled it up on the wrong damn screen.
It doesn't matter. Let's move on.
I have committed too much time
already
getting this pulled up.
There were too many money on the ice. They benefited. They didn't this time.
When the goal was scored, they have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, 6. I'm wrong. 6 on the ice, but they did at one point in time have 7 guys on the ice.
There were too many men on the ice.
Yes, too many men on the ice is what it was. Simple as that.
And they benefited last year, and this year
they weren't complaining about Barry Trotz was having a fucking conniption on the bench, and he should, because that's what resulted in the game. But yeah, Roger Goodell.
Here's the thing: just like in yesterday's game, didn't matter. Tampa was better than the Islanders last year. Colorado's better than Tampa this year.
And Mario's saying it's a legal substitution. It is, but again, I still think Colorado wins that game, unless it was going to be a lucky power play goal or a power play goal by Tampa. There was no way in hell they're winning that game. Amari Production saying, "What up? What's up, Amari? How are you?" But again, better team won, so it's not like it pisses me off too much. I just don't like the cover up. That's what kind of rubs me the wrong way. One more hockey item I want to talk about. We talked about this a little bit yesterday, Grump. I think Roman Josi was snubbed of the freaking of the Norris Trophy. I really do believe that. Cale Makar won the Norris Trophy for the best defenseman. I firmly believe that Roman Josi was snubbed.
Cale Makar is pretty darn good.
Again, 96 points for Roman Josi, the most points recorded by a defenseman in almost 30 years. Didn't win the Norris. 96 points for a defenseman.
Yeah.
The Norris Trophy is essentially who scores the most points. That's what it's. Unfortunately, that's the way it's moved. And I love these writers, these sanctimonious freaking self-thought altruistic writers who vote on it. Oh, well, the Norris Trophy doesn't actually go to the defenseman who puts up the most points. Bullshit! That's what the freaking trophy has moved towards.
Okay.
Whenever the defenseman puts up the most points, gets a Norris. You can never convince me that Erik Karlsson was ever a fantastic defenseman because he wasn't. He won Norris trophies because he was scoring 70 points in a season. Roman Josi puts up 96 points in a season, most points recorded by a defenseman it's in 29 years, almost 3 decades of hockey. And no, he doesn't win the freaking trophy because Cale Makar, the little sweetheart, wins it. Oh, no, Cale Makar. We've been hyping him up for a while. Cale Makar, I know he only finished 10 points below you, but Cale Makar, we got to put him up. I know he played for a far superior team in Colorado, right? Where McKinnon, Landeskog, Kadri, Devon Taves, every single one of those players are putting up points in boatloads. And Cale Makar is a very special defenseman. But hey, when your team's scoring a shit ton of goals, just by proxy of being on the ice, you're going to have points added to your damn point total. Where Roman Josi and Nashville Predators weren't lighting up the scoreboards per se, and he doesn't win. I don't know. That rubs me the wrong way. Again, we talk about how the media just votes in their favorite. That is, I think, a prime example of a guy who performed better than Cale Makar last year and gets snubbed.
Okay, so you're complaining that every year it's the guy who scores most points. This year, the guy who scores most points doesn't win, and you're complaining about that. Here's the way I look at it.
He's a better defenseman than Cale Makar, too. Not only do I think he performed better offensively than Cale Makar, but he's a better defense. I don't think much of Cale Makar defensively. I don't.
Okay.
Look at how many freaking mistakes that team makes, and look at how many mistakes they make in their own zone. Roman Josi doesn't hemorrhage. Roman Josi actually plays defense. He's a bigger body who actually plays defense. Cale Makar does not play the same level of defense of Roman Josi, and Roman Josi's offensive production was better than Cale Makar's. They gave it to him because they love Cale Makar, and they want him to start winning, right? They're looking for the youth in the league. Well, Roman Josi's on the way out, 30 years old. Okay, we're putting Cale Makar in. He's a sweetheart. I don't like that. I don't like that thought.
Cale Makar, I think we can both meet, is a special player, though.
He is. He absolutely is. No doubt about that.
Okay.
Wasn't as good as Roman Josi this year. Wasn't as good offensively or defensively. It's as simple as that. But they give him the award because it's Cale Makar and what he can do in these highlight reel S-type plays.
Okay. That's fine. I'm not going to argue with you about it. I don't care that Cale Makar, I didn't realize Josi had that many points. If you would have asked me going into who was the best defenseman, I would have said Cale Makar. I would not looking at stats, just impact on the game. It's Cale Makar. But, that's fine. Here's the thing. Roman Josi, great also. Victor Hedman, also great. I'd love to have those three defensemen on my team.
Think about this. Okay, hold on real quickly. I want to talk a little bit one more time about the point differential.
It's not necessary.
It is necessary. It is necessary. Dude, I just feel like he's gotten snubbed. What?
Nothing. I was quoting a movie. That's okay.
Oh, gosh. We'll do it on the movie podcast, Grump. So when we talk about the point production and the production of total points for the team, right? And you talk about, player contribution, the Avalanche scored 308 goals this year. That means Cale Makar was on production there for right around what? 80. What's 86 divided by 308?
I don't know.
Ugh, Grumpy. Come on.
27, 28%. Let's say 28%.
28%. So he was on ice and had his finger in the pie on 28% of the goals that were scored by the Colorado Avalanche.
On the best team in the
Nashville Predators. Nashville Predators only scored 262 goals this year. Roman Josi had production on 98 of those goals scored where he either had an assist or a goal. How in God's freaking name does he not win the freaking Norris?
What was his plus minus?
I'm sorry, 96. He had 96 points. Cool. Roman Josi's plus minus, give me a sec, Grump.
And then we'll compare that to Cale Makar.
Okay, Cale Makar is plus minus. 36.6% of all the goals scored, Roman Josi had his finger in the pie on that. Goal production.
Okay.
9% more, or I'm sorry, 8% more production on the total goals for the team's output. Roman Josi was higher.
And what's the plus minus difference? Maybe that played into it too.
Okay. The plus minus is going to be a lot better for Colorado because their team had scored a lot more goals than they gave up this year.
Well, that's part of it, right? Isn't that part of it? If he's
so plus minus Roman Josi plus 13.
And what was Makar?
Damn good production.
And what was Makar? So he put up more points.
Makar didn't even have the best plus minus on his team.
Okay, but I'm just interested what his plus minus was. That's all.
Plus 48.
Plus 48. That's a big difference. That's like 30, 35, plus 35 more. That makes a difference. When he's on the ice, they don't give up goals to. I don't think he's a great defensive defenseman also, but the kid's an impact player.
He didn't even have the best plus minus on his team.
I know he was second. He was second by 4.
Oh, look at how many. Okay.
I don't.
How many of these guys? Almost every single one of these players had a pause. Every single one of these players who played more than 60 plus games, hold on, Samuel Girard didn't. But most of the players on this team who played more than 60 games all had a positive plus minus. Every single one of those players, for the most part, except 2, Darren Helm and Samuel Girard. That's it. Every other player had a positive plus minus on this team that played more than 20 games.
They were the best team in the league. They're the best team in the league. What do you expect?
So why are we rewarding a guy who played on the best team in the league, scored
because he's probably the best player on the best team in the league,
who was less talented, but Roman Josi was the entire freaking team.
Okay. Like I said, we'll just agree to disagree. I have no problem with Cale Makar getting that the Norris Trophy. None.
This year I do, Grump. This year I do. And then I just need to pull this up for my own interest here. I'm looking at the plus minus here for Nashville. Okay, so Roman Josi was third on his team as opposed to Cale Makar, who was second on his team. Again, Roman Josi plus 13. You look at the plus minus, a lot more players have minuses than Colorado's did. They scored
Not a whole lot more. Not a whole lot more.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7.
Okay,
7
so
players.
you're counting guys who only played what? How many games?
65 games. I counted the players who had 65 games played for Colorado. Only 2 players that played more than 60 or 50
They're
games.
a better team. Is this
That's
really
my point. They're a better team, scored more goals, and had better plus minuses. They're a better team, scored more goals, and Roman Josi still had more point production than Cale Makar and is a better defenseman than Cale Makar. I just think it was a freaking gross. It was a gross criminalization. It was just freaking. It pisses me off.
Is this the hill you want to die on? Because
it's the hill I want to die on.
The more I listen to you talk, you hate Colorado. You couldn't admit they're the better team. You're saying if Tampa Bay was better on the power play, better on the penalty kill, they'd still be losing the series. And then you want to dump on Cale Makar for Roman Josi. I mean, I don't know. To me, it's close enough where I just think Makar makes a bigger impact on the game. I just do. I think he makes more of an impact on the game than Roman Josi. I love Roman Josi. I didn't know he had 96 points. I think he's great. I take him on my team. But if you're picking a team right now today, regardless of age, are you picking Josi or Makar?
For one season, I'm picking Josi.
Oh, you're crazy.
Not even close. Not even. Roman Josi actually plays fucking beat.
Crazy. You're crazy.
Here's the thing. You say you have a hatred for Colorado. I made a case that Devon Toews, if he had the highest plus minus in the last 4 decades of hockey, right, he should have serious consideration for the Norris Trophy. He didn't hit the mark. He was leading at one point in plus minus. I thought that should be valued. But again, he didn't. He finished 5th place, I think, in the voting. So he wasn't even a top 3 finalist. All I'm saying is this: Roman Josi, more points, and the team had less goals scored than Colorado. And again, his plus minus playing for a team that was barely squeaked away in the playoffs was still a plus 13.
Can I just say one thing? I love Devon Toews. He is not close to being the defenseman that Cale Makar is. Not even close. Cale Makar is a special generational talent on the back end.
He's a really good offensive defenseman. Really special.
Yeah, and he's okay defensively. He's not a liability. He's okay defensively.
It's okay defensively what you strive for. Roman Josi actually plays defense. I feel confident on a penalty kill with Roman Josi out there.
But the other guy
in all situations with Roman Josi in the ice. I don't feel confident with Cale Makar on a penalty kill. How many penalty kill minutes do you think Cale Makar plays?
He plays a penalty kill all the time. Him and Toews are the 2 defensemen on a penalty kill.
How many penalty kill minutes do you think he plays a game? That's what I'm asking.
Whenever the other team's on he's the number 1 penalty kill. He's the number 1. He and Toews are the 2 defensemen on the top penalty kill unit for them. I don't think it's the right thing to do because I don't think that they're great defensively, but that's what it is. I mean, all I know is the numbers don't bear you out. When he's on the ice, they're more prone to scoring goals and giving them up. I mean, good.
Roman Josi. They're more prone to score goals than give them up.
Okay,
who's on the ice?
Okay, whatever. Like I said, without looking at stats, I thought Cale Makar this year. He's just special. He's a special player.
You got the hype. That's why. That's all it is, man.
All I know is I watch him play. He's really
Roman
good.
Josi had more first place votes than Cale Makar did, but it was all the legacy people who wanted to vote the little fad in. People voted freaking Chris Tanev as number 5 and Roman Josi as 4th in their voting. How the hell do you have him anything outside the top 3 is freaking disgusting. I don't know how. Anyway, Amari Production says here, I miss Islander seasons, man. I wish we would have gotten into hockey at the beginning of the season. Well, you're here for all this next year, Amari. So that's
Amari, you got to listen to the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. We're going to be breaking down the NHL draft. TJ's super psyched for that. Probably TJ's never ever prepared for the NHL draft. He does this year, so that's a guarantee that we're going to trade the pick away. And then we're also going to be discussing any possible trades and whatever else is going on in the offseason. We want you to be there. Islanders Never Say Die podcast. TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Subscribe, all that stuff.
Amari Productions says 10 more points is enough for me to say he was snubbed. Thank you, Amari Productions. Drew L says Aaron Hicks just tied it up. Let's go. The Knicks got 3 future first-round picks from OKC.
Okay.
Wow. Gungun says, hey, Grump, are you still planning on presenting some old photos of when you were younger, more sensitive man? That's right. I forgot you said you were going to do that.
I do have some of those photos. I will unleash him at the proper time. I'm going to show a photo when all is to be revealed, and you're going to go, holy shit.
Amari Production says Zdeno Chara is good according to plus minus, so I don't always pay too much attention to it. LOL. It's still important, but I don't look at it as much as other things. I was about to say, some players, Josh Bailey always had a pretty good plus minus. Doesn't mean he's a good player. Drew L. Again, it's just like one of the many stats you can look at to make a case. It's not end all be all. Drew L says Dusty Baker looks like a grandpa from the Boondocks if he was fat. Can't say I watched the Boondocks. John M says Auburn's Kessler is drafted. I like him more than Smith.
Yeah, he's a one-year player there, and Walker. I think his name was Walker Kessler. He's a big guy. They take longer to develop. Was he really ready to come out to the NBA? No, but that's the way it is. One and done.
Yep.
That's why it's tough to really know the players.
Big guys and a lot of power forwards and centers drafted this year. Not a lot of guards off the board.
Yeah. Anyway,
Grump. So we had a chance to cover the NHL. We're completed there on the NHL.
Can I just say one thing about the NBA draft? There was a guy who got drafted in the first name. His name is Marjan Beauchamp. He's a guard from the G League Elite. Yes. So he's not even anybody you would have ever seen, and he goes in the first round. That's why it's hard for me to say, yeah, man, I'm really into the NBA draft. 3/4 of these players, I don't even know who the hell they are.
You got to do your homework and bone up on them.
You know what? I'm not studying anybody from the G League. Nobody.
I want to talk a little bit about this, Grumpy. I know we mentioned it at the top. We talked about Arch Manning. Want to talk a little bit about the name, image, and like 3.1 million. Just want you to kind of weigh in on that, right? We talked about how this is going to be the wild freaking West. We talked about this, Grump. Wanted to have you weigh in on that.
I'm not surprised. That's why I said you're going to see football players we're going to get paid way more than basketball players. You're seeing it. You're not going to see any basketball player make $3.1 million to go anywhere because they're one and done. Arch Manning is going to play there for, 3 years if all goes well. That's why you invest that type of money in somebody like that, because he's going to be there for 3 years. Basketball, one and done, you're not going to see that type of money. Just not going to happen. This kid, I mean, he's not even eligible to sign until August, right? Yeah. Or to commit. I mean, he could commit in August and sign like in November or something like that. I don't know. I'm just like, does it bother me he's making that money? Not at all. But again, big name's going to get big money. You're not going to see anybody in basketball make that much money on NAL deals. Not now. Maybe in the future, but not now, because they're one and done. What are you investing in? Just have a guy show up on your campus for 1 year? Not going to happen.
Yeah. I'm sorry. The $3.1 million valuation is the potential valuation of of Arch Manning. So It could be higher. Again, could be lower, could be higher. I'm going to assume he's probably going to make around that, if not more. They do it based off an algorithm, off of how many followers he has, based off of the prospect, etc. I will be interested to see what his amount total is. I'm sure he's going to be in the millions. I remember, who was it? I think it was Kirk Herbstreit, or maybe it was another ESPN pundit who said he thinks that Arch Manning could have the ability, when all is said and done, to make over 10 million in name, image, and likeness deals, and really blow the name, image, and likeness deals off the freaking door, is what they said.
Like I said, he's got the magic name. That helps. I guess he's got the talent. I've never seen him play. But he's the number one prospect in the country at the quarterback position, no less. And he's a Manning. And he signed at a big-time school with a lot of money. So, we're going to find out.
Texas's boosters put a lot of money. They love their football, Grump.
Yes, they do.
And also being said, right, you talk about where he is. There's only been 3 quarterbacks in the last 2 or 2.5 decades that have received the perfect 10.0 score on like a certain recruiting site. Those quarterbacks were Vince Young, Quinn Ears, who's now at Texas, and Arch Manning. So they're obviously drawing comparisons like, hey, they the Texas Longhorns had Vince Young, they've got Quinn Ears, and now they've got Arch Manning coming their way. So with the perfect rated quarterbacks, they do a pretty good job of recruiting those guys.
Well, let's see if they pan out. Vince Young certainly did. I don't know about the Ears kid, and we don't know about Manning.
Amar Productions also says, I want to see us trade for Fiala just to see grumpy old man's reactions.
The pissant doesn't fit into what we do, honestly. The pissant.
Oh, good gracious, man. Jesus. Good
112 pounds. Come
on. Got a comment here also from John M saying, Grumpy, if the Islanders trade Bailey at or before the draft, what dance will you perform on the podcast?
I will do it. I will do a dance. I will do a dance if he gets traded. I don't know what kind of dance, but I'll have to get up.
We'll have a big celebration.
I'm not going to do a chair dance. Maybe we'll celebrate good times. Come on.
Da, 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 da.
Everybody now.
Oh, good gracious, man. I want to kick off. I want to kick off really
cool.
quick.
Isn't that Cool in the Gang?
Who?
Cool in the Gang.
Who's that?
Celebrate. Isn't that Cool in the Gang who sang Celebrate?
I don't know, Grumpy.
It was Cool in the Gang.
I'm not the guy to help out in that type of.
It's funny because a lot of times at amusement parks they have, old acts who come in and play, and I think it's Cool in the Gang sang Celebrate. I want to say, but I remember I was at Great Adventure in New Jersey, and they were playing the Cool in the Gang. We were walking by. I'm like, oh man, look, Cool in the Gang. I remember Cool in the Gang. They were good.
Drew L says Grumpy should twerk if Bailey's traded. Grumpy, do you know what twerking is?
I do know what twerking is.
Okay, I'm shocked you do. I'm not sure I want to see Grumpy twerk, but I'm sure some people it'll be like a train wreck. It's one of those things I don't want to watch, but I wouldn't be able to look away from.
I think if I started twerking, my knees might give out. I just fall on the floor. My balls would be hitting the ground. I don't know what the hell would happen. It would not be.
You'd be in a Life Alert commercial.
That's right. I'd fall and I can't get up. Just to let you know that Bergeron is going to stay with the Bruins.
Wow, so he's not retiring.
A 1-year deal.
Okay, you have to figure this is probably the last year of his career, right?
I don't know. You tell me.
The speculation was there that maybe Boston's not in rebuild mode now with Bergeron back. All the speculation of Boston in rebuild, I'm sure now immediately dissipates because Bergeron's not coming back for a rebuild. That's quite obvious, Grumpy.
They are in rebuild. They should be. Yeah, and honestly, so should the Islanders. Honestly.
Okay, Boston's not going to. Bergeron's not coming back on a 1-year deal if they're going to rebuild. Simple as that. He's a very important part of that team. So, he's coming back. He's fantastic. Even his age, right? He's still a hell of a two-way forward, unbelievable two-way forward, and would find himself on a top 6 on any team in the NHL. Doesn't matter his age. He's just one of those type of players. Hey, I would say Bergeron's a Hall of Fame caliber player, wouldn't you?
Yes.
Okay. Mario Production says, question for Grumpy. What would make you stop calling him a pissant if he is traded for us?
Probably nothing. Because when I get a hatred on a player, it doesn't matter what they do. I hate them. Kyle Palmieri is still an F-. I don't care what he does. He's an F-. It was a terrible trade. And he'll always be the F-. And usually the guys that I think are going to disappoint us absolutely do.
Oh, goodness gracious.
Right? Have I been wrong on any of these guys, really? Any guy that I've singled out saying, I don't want that guy. Have they come in and done anything?
Zach Parise. That's the one. Zach Parise.
No.
Yes. You didn't want him. Zach Parise.
I didn't want him, but for his role, he wasn't great last year. He scored 35 points? He's a third-line guy. Kyle Palmieri was brought in to play on the first line ostensibly, and so would Pissant. Kyle Palmieri flamed out because he's a devil. Pissant's going to flame out because he's a pissant. I don't want Pissant. I want Johnny Gaudreau.
Two comments here, Grumpy, and I want to get to this, what I've got up on the screen. Gungun says, is John Cooper smoking crack? Maybe that explains his outlandish comments after being guilty of the same dirty deed last year. Karma, question mark. What comes around goes around, I'd say.
Yeah, like I said, I don't, like I said, and that's how I prefaced it right at the beginning. I said, oh my gosh.
Okay, Grumpy's little Alexa or whatever is talking to him. And again, an old man with technology is always a funny
I'm getting
one.
ready to just unplug her ass.
Grumpy can't get the Alexa to stop talking to him. But yeah, I think so. And I think the situations were very similar. I think Tampa was the better team, right? They were still probably going to beat the Islanders, whether they had, too many men on the ice or not in transition. And just like yesterday, I think Colorado was the better team yesterday. Still were probably winning that game, whether they had too many men on the ice or not. Sure, right? You could argue maybe if the Islanders had a power play, they were able to squeak one in and take a lead, just like I could do with Tampa. But the better teams in both of those series won, or the better team in the series last year won, and I anticipate the better team in the series, which is Colorado, will win this year as well. Grump, you're still muted.
I 100% agree.
Did you teach that Alexa what's good, Grumpy?
I unplugged her ass. Shut up.
Drew L said, Aaron Judge just walked it off. Let's go. Screw you, the Houston Cheaters. Amari Production says, so 100-point season makes the game-winning shot in the Stanley Cup, and you would continue calling him a pissant.
Okay. The pissant has never scored 100 points in the season. He certainly won't with us. And we might not even qualify for the playoffs next year.
100-point season for us, my God. I would, Grumpy, you can't call him that. I mean, when's the last time we've had an Islanders put up 100 points in a season?
Mike, was it Turgeon?
Maybe Turgeon.
I mean, it's been forever, right? When was the last time we had a 100-point score?
2 decades.
93. I mean, that's like 30 years ago. I can't remember the last time we had a 100-point score. Turgeon did way back, way back. But I mean, that's not what we do.
Yep. Amari Production says, since everybody here watches the Islanders Never Say Die podcast, I'm sure the name Pissant would become famous and he would embrace it. Kevin Fiala probably listens to it himself and he can learn about his future team.
Yeah, I'd love to get him on the show. I'd call him Pissant on the show. Yeah.
Shifting gears to football a little bit. This is our soft introduction to football today. I saw this and I wanted to ask you a question. The position of running back, I feel like, is one that changes hands of who's the best running back almost on a yearly or twice or every other year basis. I feel like running backs are a position to where they've only got so much tread on the tires. And I feel like who is the best running back is very, it's very fluid. Want to ask you, do you think that Derrick Henry is still the best running back in the NFL? Has Jonathan Taylor taken over, or is Derrick Henry, when healthy, the best running back still in the NFL?
Okay, there you just said when healthy. He's had a couple of injuries the last couple of years. That's why back in the league changes just about every year, because guys get beat up, they get injured. The careers are very, very short. I mean, for just running the ball, Derrick Henry is probably. I'm going with Jonathan Taylor. He's just more all around. What was the knock on him coming out of Wisconsin? Couldn't catch the ball. Right. Well, Wisconsin never threw the ball to their backs. All of a sudden, he comes out and catches everything in sight playing for Indianapolis, and he puts up. I mean, he's the man right now as a running back. No,
really, I'd say
really good.
Taylor is, absolutely.
Yeah. So I mean, Henry was for a couple of years, but then he got hurt last year. He doesn't catch a whole lot of passes out of the backfield. I mean, I think now you have to look at a running back, not just a guy who runs between the tackles, but who you're able to engage in the passing game as well, right? Alvin Kamara was really, really good, outstanding. Yep. When Drew Brees was there, all of a sudden, Drew Brees is in there, gets injured a little bit, doesn't put up some big numbers. Then, he beats the hell out of somebody in Las Vegas. He's going to get suspended at some point in time.
Hold on. Kamara did what?
Yeah, he got big curb stomped some guy.
No, when did this happen?
At the in Las Vegas.
Oh, yeah. Was that at the Pro Bowl, or was that during like the Super Bowl or something like that?
I think it was at the Super Bowl or the Pro Bowl. Maybe it was the Pro Bowl.
I don't know. My God, bad decision.
And they knew about it before the game, and they let him play. If that's not typical NFL.
That is typical NFL. But Drew L just sent that to us here. He said the Knicks are going to receive the following picks from OKC: 3 2023 first-round picks that are all, I assume, lottery protected. Yep. The one from Detroit, Washington, and Denver.
Yeah, and, if they have a boatload of those picks, why not? You can't have 100 picks. You can't.
I was about to say.
Now, I wouldn't have packaged him for Frenchie Cordero there, but I understand the thought process, and they're all lottery protected. That's the best thing.
Or are those okay? Here's the thing: it just says protected. It doesn't say specifically. Maybe it's just top 5 protected or top 3. I don't know what it means by protected. That's very vague.
Okay.
What type of protection? That's exactly what I'm wondering. What type of protection is on the pick? I can't believe that they just said, "Hey, we're essentially trading. We're giving up, the 11th overall pick in this year's draft for 3 picks that are going to be, outside the lottery selection." I just can't believe that. I find it hard to believe. Amari Production says here, Jonathan Taylor and Nick Chubb are ahead of him for me personally, but I'm very biased, as you could see from my Browns profile picture.
I like Nick Chubb. He's not the best back in the league, not even close. He's good though, but he's not number one. He doesn't catch any passes either. I mean, Austin Eckler, you got Austin Eckler, you got Dalvin Cook, you have Christian McCaffrey if he's healthy. I mean, gosh, remember when Christian McCaffrey was the best back in the league?
Yeah, he was the best back in the league for what, a year, maybe a year and a half, 2 years.
Then injuries.
And then Derrick Henry right after Christian McCaffrey was no longer the best back. It was Derrick Henry for 2 years, and now it's gonna be Jonathan Taylor for a year or two.
That's the way it is.
It changes hands.
Yep.
So we obviously took a little bit of eased our way into the NFL. Now, Roger Goodell was testifying in front of Congress. Did you happen to see that today, Grump?
I didn't. I'm like, why? Doesn't Congress have? I mean, I
always love when we've got so many issues regarding bigger scale items, and we're grilling Roger Goodell. Like, that's the big issue. That's what the Americans really want to have.
Who cares? It's like, okay, you got gas, it's $5-6 a gallon. You have inflation running wild. You can't keep things in store shelves, and you're worried about Roger Goodell and the NFL. Stop. I mean, stop. What's wrong with you people? Blow them all out. Everybody gone. You need to know what's really important. I mean, it's not sports. Please.
Okay. So yeah, we're gonna talk a little bit here about this particular item, right? Because I do think it's funny in nature that he's there and he's such an important person. They have to go ahead and make sure they have a chance to talk with him. But I'll show you the question. So Roger Goodell, there was a question, I think, by Jim Jordan. He asked a question. Now, are you familiar with the Roger Goodell and Dave Portnoy beef?
Was it really about this?
He asked, yes.
Portnoy?
So Jim Jordan asked him about that. Yes, exactly.
They're the ones who made the clown shirts when
it was clown and Roger Goodell on it.
It all stemmed from Deflategate with Brady, and it absolutely was a railroad job for certain.
And that's where it originally started.
Yes.
Dave Portnoy happened to tweet about it. He said, I was arrested at a NFL headquarters protesting Brady at Deflategate. He was arrested. He organized Clowngate at Gillette Stadium. He ran Mike Kenzel out of Super Bowl Media Day. He got kicked out of Super Bowl Media Day. He was dragged out of the Super Bowl in handcuffs, as you remember, right? Because he was banned. He couldn't go to any more NFL games. So he was banned from that. He won a $250,000 COVID auction to watch the game with the commissioner, and then was denied the ability to do so. So they offered up, hey, you can watch the game with the commissioner. How much you want to auction? It's going to go to COVID relief. And
that's horseshit.
He paid the most, and they said, no, we're not doing that with you. And this is obviously Dave Portnoy, and this is all the little things he could fit in a little tweet. But this is the response he had to the question. Roger Goodell had to the question by Jim Jordan.
Ban Dave Portnoy from NFL games.
Pardon me, I couldn't hear your question.
Why do you ban Dave Portnoy from NFL games? He's a journalist. In fact, he's a sports journalist. Why is he banned?
Congressman, I'm not familiar with that issue. I'm happy to check with my staff, but I'm not
What a
aware of
liar.
that.
He's not aware of the issue, Grumpy. He's not aware of the issue. He wasn't aware that he won, that he bid the most, right, to have the game, to sit down with him. He wasn't aware that, well, I wasn't aware there was an issue with Dave Portnoy. There's an issue with Dave Portnoy?
He's a flat out liar. Now, here's the thing. I don't know what the hell they're talking about in Congress. It's a waste of time. But, okay, here's the thing. You know he's lying. He's flat out lying to you. I don't know anything about that. You're lying. Bro, you're lying. Why are you lying? Why don't you say we don't like him? He's just a liar.
They
Stop
banned him
lying.
from the Super Bowl game, and where they have it specifically that he is not allowed in the stadium. He had to buy tickets under an alias to go ahead and sneak his way in the Super Bowl, but they know who Dave Portnoy is because his face is very recognizable. They found him in the crowd when he had come in. They said, "Get your ass out of here," and they
dragged him out.
Handcuffs and take him out of the stadium.
I did see them dragging him out. They dragged him out.
Yes. Don't tell me that's just like, oh, I had no idea that we weren't allowing him in. I didn't even know he won the COVID auction. I didn't know that we went ahead and arrested him under media day. I'm not sure that he went ahead and had the Gillette gate. He had the clown gate that he went ahead and posted out there at Gillette Stadium. And was arrested outside of NFL heck. I didn't know that, even though it's all over the place. I wasn't sure.
And here's the thing. Why does Portnoy hate Goodell and hate the upper echelon of the NFL? Because most of the guys who are in that league office used to work for the Jets. And the Jets have made it their issue to go after the Patriots in the past. Absolutely. Mike Kensel in particular. Like I said, the Deflategate thing was an absolute joke. That was a joke. It didn't matter. It wound up benefiting the Patriots at the end with the Super Bowl win. Thank you very much. But that's why he goes after them, because he's a butthurt New England fan over Deflategate. That's Portnoy, okay? And I remember when Matt Patricia came off the plane after winning that Super Bowl wearing a Roger Goodell clown shirt, and I mean, holy crap! You know they put him on the carpet for that.
This is the way I look at it too. This is the gift that keeps giving for Dave Portnoy, because he can continue to go ahead and do these items to try to find his way back in the state, find his way on big items and big events for the NFL. And every freaking time the NFL and Roger Goodell specifically will not allow him to participate. And it just feeds into free press and free victim mentality and free everybody hates Roger Goodell. Everybody does. He's an easy target to hate. And when he does this, it just feeds into the more fuel of the fire. Like, look at this bastard. He won't even let me go to the game. He won't let me go ahead and sit and watch the game with him when I paid $250,000 in COVID relief for the auction. He still won't let me do it.
That's horseshit. I'm sorry. You put something up like that, for charity, I'd say give me my $250 back, and I'm going to sue you for not letting you send me what my money is too good for you? Isn't good enough for you?
Hey, we don't need as much money for COVID relief. We're going to go ahead and take $10,000 less for COVID relief because I don't want to sit with Dave Portnoy.
You know what I would like? You know what I'd like to do? What Jim Jordan should have asked him was, Deshaun Watson, he didn't play at all last year, and you said you were investigating, these issues against him. Nothing went to court. The cases have all been settled out of court. Do you know anything about that? What's going on there, and what do you think his answer would have been?
I'm not familiar with the situation. We've got a specific team that handles that, so I'm not really aware of all the ins and the outs of that. But I just am not aware at this time.
It was leaked that they're going to look for a 1-year suspension on Watson.
Really, it was leaked.
Yes, and for me, I'm sorry. That's just wrong. They already sat him out a year in Houston. So you're going to take 2 years off of this guy's career? Nothing criminal was done. I don't agree with what he did. Okay. Certainly it's an entitlement thing, whatever. He settled all these lawsuits except for 4. He settled them all. But to say that for the NFL to say, well, we're still investigating this. I mean, this isn't like the freaking Lindbergh baby being kidnapped and killed. This is a guy, I mean, you've had this information for a year and a half, almost 2 years now, and you still can't make a decision because they're gutless. The NFL is gutless.
They go with what the freaking environment is by the people. What is the perspective of the people, and that will determine what we do. If people love Deshaun Watson because he went ahead and saved an orphanage or cured cancer, well, all is forgiven, Deshaun. We love you, buddy. We're going to give you an award for heroism in the NFL. But if, hey, he's in bad graces, well, we're going to go ahead and side with what they could give two shits. If they could, first off, if they can cover something up, they will always choose that route. If we can cover something up and prevent bad PR from the NFL, we will do so. i.e. Ray Rice getting a 1-game suspension before they leaked the video of him knocking out his fiance at the time period, slugging her in the face, right? Until that came out and said, we're going to extend the suspension. We're going to go ahead and suspend him for longer. Yeah, if that video never came out, they're going to give him a 1-game suspension just like they did. If they can hide things, they will. And only if they must will they actually act. It's the only time.
Okay. I had something else to say, but I forgot it. You went on so long, I forgot. Next topic.
Gungun says here, how come Dave Portnoy and Roger Goodell cannot live in perfect harmony? Perhaps if Goodell pops up as a surprise special guest on Portnoy's pizza review, all will be forgiven.
You're never going to see that. Never.
Jesus, man. I hate Goodell. My gosh. Amari Production says, Chubb is probably the most consistent, but unlike the other running backs, he doesn't really have any huge seasons, but he's guaranteed to get 1,000 yards with less carries than other guys.
Yeah, he's also hurt every year. He's going to miss a couple of games every year, too.
He is. And I was walking to a bus from a College World Series last night, and I saw Goodell on a TV in a bar, so I assumed the worst and thought something happened to Watson.
Well, they also had the NFL wanted to do the John Gruden thing, go to arbitration, and the judge said no, absolutely not. They're going to lose. They are absolutely going to lose that case to John Gruden.
Well,
Absolutely.
John Gruden and Dan Snyder, and we're going to talk about that in a second. They also asked about Dan Snyder, and Dan Snyder is going to get a little. Remember how they just swept everything under the rug there from the at the time the Washington Redskins, now the Washington Commanders are just like, well, we're not revealing those emails from the Washington Redskins. We're not revealing those emails.
I'm just find it funny that they had 630,000 emails, and the only ones that came up with anything that was considered inflammatory language were the 6 or 8 emails with John Gruden. They're lying again, and they're going to get burned. They will lose the lawsuit. They're going to get trounced in the lawsuit because there's going to have to be discovery. That's the first thing you say. His lawyer, I want discovery. What about the email chain? Trying to tell me nobody said, oh, don't say that, John. No, I guarantee that's not the case. And how many other owners? It's so ridiculous. I'm going to guarantee if I picked 15 people down the street, I guarantee you they're saying something in emails that somebody would consider inappropriate in today's day and age, let alone 10 years ago. I mean, it's comical. I hope they lose, and I hope they lose big. I really do.
Got a comment here from Gungun saying, isn't it an obvious farce when an arena such as MSG says a controversial spectator is banned for life from the venue? Meanwhile, they can easily enter as long as somebody else buys the ticket. Exactly. Somebody else buys the ticket and you're just entering in. I mean, trust me, they're not doing face checks and face recognition or anything like that to prevent you from coming in. That's for certain. Drew L says here, well, it looks like my wide receiver picks in fantasy might be CeeDee Lamb, Jerry Jeudy, and Drake London. Oof.
You better start making some trades.
So you better start finding some other wide receivers, my friend. That is not I wouldn't, unless it's a really deep league, I wouldn't, that's the position of weakness. I hope you got strong running backs, Drew, and a fantastic tight end. Paulo C says, TJ, Makar at only 23 years old is a better defenseman. He was a first-round pick, 4th overall. I'd rather have Makar for one season. In career playoffs, has 54 points in 53 games with a plus
58 points.
58 points in 53 games in plus 23.
You're Colorado biased. You're trying to cut 4 points off the kid.
Like Colorado bias. Roman Josi's better defenseman. My God, come on. Roman Josi's he can actually play defense. Cale Makar does not actually play sound defense. He's okay defensively, but again,
The numbers say something different. He's the quintessential modern NHL defenseman. Gets the puck, moves it up out of the zone. That's why his numbers are so good. He's so fast. He gets it.
Good vision,
makes one move,
great
bang,
skating,
out the zone.
good vision, great skating, fantastic ability, stick handle, great ability to control the puck, good job at suspending plays and continue to extend plays in the offensive zone. He does all those things extremely well. Again,
he's going to win Conn Smythe, by the way. He's going to win Conn Smythe Trophy.
You think?
Cale Makar will win Conn Smythe Trophy. Absolutely.
Not McKinnon.
McKinnon hasn't done anything in the finals. Nothing.
Okay.
He's got 1 goal and 2 assists.
Well, Grumpy, when Vasilevsky stands on his head these next 3 games and Tampa goes ahead and wins in 7, I think Vasilevsky's winning.
Then it would be Vasilevsky, but I just don't see that happening.
I'm just joking around. Want to show this to you, Grump. So speaking about Dan Snyder, Roger Goodell said already, members of Congress have no authority to remove Daniel Snyder.
No. He told the members of Congress that he has no authority to remove Daniel
Sorry. He has no authority to remove Daniel Snyder as owner of the Commanders.
That's true. That's true. Remember, Roger Goodell just works for the owners. That's it. He's a flack for the owners. The owners would have to vote to move him out.
So what this is all about, and now they subpoenaed Dan Snyder, so he will be in Congress. He'll be in front of Congress
again
in a week or 2 weeks. Another one of those fantastic tax dollars at work. But they said this is all regarding a woman who worked for the Commanders and accused Dan Snyder of sexually assaulting her in 2008, months before Snyder and a team agreed to pay her $1.6 million as part of a confidential settlement.
Sounds like she got paid.
Yes.
I mean, honestly, if you take the money and you sign the agreement, I'm not saying he should have sexually. First of all, I don't even know what went on. Okay.
Yes,
first of all, but if it was inappropriate, he paid her $1.6 million for a confidential settlement. That's it. That shit happens every day in every business all over the world. That stuff happens. Why is this guy being called before Congress? How about the secret slush fund that they have for the members of Congress sexually assaulting young interns and stuff? What about that? I don't see Congress calling themselves on the carpet. It's just a joke. Again, we have so many bigger issues in this country than to worry about the Washington Redskins football Commanders, whatever. I mean, just stop. Move on.
Here's the thing. I wish they would release those damn emails. I wish they would release those emails. How many was it? 300 to 600,000. I wish they would make that public information so we could really see all the skeletons in the closet, because I really feel like there's a lot of skeletons in the closet there at the NFL that they're just hiding.
That will happen in the Gruden case unless they come to a settlement.
I think they might just come to a settlement because they don't want that shit getting out.
You want 10 million? How about we give you 50? Just go away. Just stop. We'll give you the money. And that's the problem they're going to have, because Gruden knew, please, out of 630, 6 or 7 emails out of 630,000 had something that you would consider inappropriate. Really? Going back 10 years? Please stop. Please. Stop trying to insult the intelligence of every person on the planet. Just stop, NFL.
It's funny how that works, though. But you're right. They're going to probably pay to settle out. And then what do we say? Oh, is that an admission of guilt by the NFL, by them settling out of court? Perhaps.
Nuisance
perhaps
lawsuit.
they don't want other things to pop up, so it's easier for them to pay off and get it off the item. I mean, like, it could go either way.
Of course, it's they consider them nuisance lawsuits. And when you are how many $1 billion company, $10 million, which I think is what is nothing. It's nothing. I don't even know what his lawsuit was for, but he will win. John Gruden will win. Absolutely. And they will have to release as just, discovery, all those emails, every single one.
That'd be great.
Nothing redacted. We don't want any redactions here.
That would be fantastic.
Mm-hmm. There's no way the NFL wants that to happen. No way.
They'll try to get it before.
That's what happens when you try to scapegoat somebody. They scapegoated John Gruden to get the pressure off of Dan Snyder. That's what they did.
So I wish we would have seen
Cost
that.
him his job. Cost him his job with the Raiders. I'm not saying he was the greatest coach. I think the game has kind of passed him by. But cost him his job. You know, he'll never work in the NFL again. You got to pay for that. That's fine. You paid $1.6 million for a little tryst with that girl. You're going to pay a lot more for John Gruden, NFL. All the owners will.
And we got to hear a comment. Amari Production says, it looks like Roman Josi finished higher in the Hart voting than Cale Makar. He did. So for MVP of the league, he finished higher. He finished higher than Cale Makar did.
Well, most valuable player. Well, I could see where he'd be most valuable player. He's the most valuable player on Nashville, but because Colorado has Nathan McKinnon as well. But for just defensemen, I got no problem with Makar.
How was the guy?
Get ready. Get ready. They might as well just change it to the Makar Trophy.
You freaking
just to drive you crazy.
Gungun says, Grumpy, try to explain what an 8-track is to young TJ.
Do you know what an 8-track is, TJ?
I assume it could hold up to 8 songs, and it's one of the ones that has like on like a wire or something like that, where you put it in and you had to rewind it, like, you know, like a VHS goes, you rewind it and you plop it in. It was almost like one of those cassette players. Is it kind of like a cassette, an 8-track?
It was before cassettes. They were like 8 tracks, and it was like I used to have when I was a kid, and you know, you plug them into an 8-track player, and sometimes, you know, there'd be a little garble. You have to put like a little matchbook cover in there to kind of prop it up, you know, just in case the heads were a little off. Yeah, there you go. And you plug them in. It was good stuff. But the whole thing was sometimes right in the middle of a song, you'd run out of space on on the tracks, and it would have to go to the next one. So it would, like whatever song you want to sing, TJ. I don't know, since you don't know any.
Don't you forget.
And it would fade out. It would fade out, and then it would click, click, go to the next track, and it would pick up from that spot. I had so many 8 tracks in the day. Yeah, Boston. That was the original. There's Don't Look Back, I think, is the one all the way on the left. That was their second album. I can remember it was 3.5 years from the first album
by Boston.
Yeah, but the one over, that one right there, like the third picture, that's the original. That's the first Boston. Yep, that was the first one. And it was 3.5 years between albums. And I remember we could not wait that the album came out in the summer, I think July of 1981 or something like that. And we just played the living crap out of that album all day, listening to it over and over and over. There were no video games. There was, we weren't watching, television, in the summer was all about, what game shows and soap operas. We didn't watch that as kids. We play outside. We listen to music. Music was huge back then. It's not anymore because there's no talented people playing music anymore.
Frank saying, hello all. What's up, Frank? Drew L said apparently Alvin Kamara might be suspended 6 games.
Yeah.
Oof.
Yeah,
I'd say that hurts. That definitely hurts the New Orleans Saints, no doubt about that. And Frank saying here, Boston, the band is great.
Yep, I've had some deaths recently.
I want to go ahead and shift gears and talk a little baseball, Grumpy, to the last sport we're talking about here as we start to wind down the podcast. Grumpy, last segment. We got here now. Shohei Ohtani, in the last 2 days, he had. When he had hit, I think it was the night before, 2 home runs, 8 RBIs, which was a career high in a single game for him. The next game, pitches 8 innings, 13 strikeouts. What I want to ask you, I know it's early in his career.
No.
Hold on. Before I get done, Grumpy, could you see Shohei Ohtani making the Hall of Fame?
God damn, I knew you were going to say that. It's his second year in the freaking league.
Hold on. With a small sample, it's his 3rd year. But could you see him making the Hall of Fame because he does something and has done something and is doing something that we will probably never see again in modern day baseball?
So he's got to play what? Like at least another 10 years, you figure? Minimum 10 years?
Here's the thing I think. He might make it in just solely because he does something special, even with a smaller sample size. Remember, he's 27 years old already.
Yeah, so the answer is no.
You don't think so?
He's not going to play long enough. Major League Baseball is a numbers game. It's all about the numbers. It's always been about the numbers. It's why they're so butthurt about steroids, because it ruins the integrity of the game. The numbers are different. Stop. It's all about the numbers for these voters. Always about the numbers. He's not even a 300 hitter.
Yeah. Okay. How many guys are 300 hitters?
I don't know, but if you want
He
to,
had 270 last year and 46 homers with 100 RBIs and 103 runs on a bad freaking Angels team.
okay. Guess what? A lot of guys have had years like that. Doesn't mean you make the Hall of Fame.
How many of those guys also pitched?
Yeah.
The answer to that's none.
He won MVP. Yeah, he won MVP. That
Yeah.
doesn't mean you're a Hall of Famer. How long is he going to be able to do both things? I don't know. The older he gets, he's not going to be able
to do both things already is nuts. It's freaking insane. I don't think we'll ever see that again in the history of the sport.
I'm not denying his talent. I'm not denying it at all. Hall of Fame is something you have to play for a while, a long time to get into the Hall of Fame, not just 5 years, 6 years.
He's got 4 years already under his belt.
Okay. What are his career numbers? Are they really, really good?
Here's his career numbers: a career ERA of a 3.36, so not great on the ERA. He's only pitched 252 innings. He's got 312 strikeouts. And when you look at his batting numbers, he's got, because remember, the first 1 year in 2019, I think he just did batting. I think he just batted because he was coming back from that Tommy John surgery. Career batting average of a 264, career home runs of 108 home runs, 292 RBIs, and 280 runs, 62 stolen bases.
So, okay, so you look at
MVP.
He's 4 years he's played?
Played 5 years.
Okay. So he's in his 5th
5 years as a hitter, 4
Let's
years.
say 4. Let's just say 4 for argument's sake. He doesn't even average. He averages 25 home runs. He doesn't even average 80 RBIs. He averages 80 runs.
You're also taking a COVID year when they played 44 games into account.
Okay.
And over an 82 game season, he's averaging about 80 plus RBIs, around like 80 to 90 RBIs a season.
Right now, he's not done enough to be a Hall of Famer. No. I knew. Here's the thing. I always know you. I look at some new guy doing something for a week or 2 days. You think he's going to be a Hall of Famer? No. It takes more than that to be a Hall of Fame player. It just does.
I'm just saying, if let's say he's able to continue doing both and playing at a high level till he's 30, and let's say then he's just batting or he switches just to batting, right? I seriously think, because he's special, he's won the MVP, and he's the first player to ever do this, I think even if his sample size is short, that will be looked upon favorably.
I don't think it gets you in the Hall of Fame. I think it hurts that he doesn't speak the language either.
Now you sound like Stephen A. Smith.
I think it hurts to be in a Hall of Famer. You can't schmooze the voters or anything like that. It's a popularity contest. Jim Rice should have been the Hall of Famer in the Hall of Fame way before he was finally elected in there, way before. But he was surly with the press. So he had to wait to his next to last year, I think his 13th or 14th year. Jim Rice was a freaking terror on the field.
I want to talk a little bit about Cole Hamels made a statement. He said, to be feeling good, I may aim for a 2023 comeback.
I thought he was dead.
Cole Hamels hasn't pitched. He pitched I think it was 3 innings in 2021, or maybe it was 2020. He hasn't played in a capacity of a major capacity in years. I wanted to ask what you think about that statement, Grumpy. Obviously hasn't played it. Okay, he pitched. I'll pull up his numbers. I think maybe, he didn't pitch at all in 2021. He pitched 3.1 innings before getting injured in 2020 and is missing all of 2022. So essentially missing 3 years. Do you think Cole Hamels can make a comeback?
He's not a spring.
39.
He's not a 39.
He'll be 39 when he tries to make a comeback.
Okay. All I got to say is he must need the money. Why else would you put yourself through that? 39 years old? I mean,
I look at it. He pitched 3 innings before having that shoulder surgery in 2020. He missed all of 2021, going to miss all of 2022. He's essentially missed 3 years. It's not like he's missed 3 years in his 20s or his young ages, right? He missed 3 years when he's 36, 37, 38. He's going to be 39 next year.
Good luck to him. I don't expect good things to come from that, though.
Maybe he comes back in like a long reliever type role. I just can't see him pitching as a starting pitcher going forward.
He'd have to take vet minimum, first of all.
For certain.
No one's going to give him a big contract.
His numbers in Chicago in 2019 still weren't great either before he got hurt. I mean, like, he'll be 30. He's not Justin Verlander, right? He had really good years there for the Phillies for a while, but he's not a guy like a Justin Verlander or a Hall of Fame caliber pitcher.
He's more of a finesse guy, where Verlander's power guy.
Yeah, absolutely. I saw that. I figured you'd get a kick out of it, Grumpy.
Honestly, I joke when I said I thought he was dead. You know, I mean that baseball wise. It's like, aren't you finished?
I was about to say, you and me both. I want to show you an interesting highlight. You remember we say sometimes baseball is a great sport, and sometimes we see crazy fan fights. Sometimes we also see moments of pure fandom to where you got to love it. So this is what happened. I think it was yesterday or 2 days ago at a Dodgers-Angels game.
Let's check out the T-Mobile coverage cam. So this is why baseball is the greatest sport in the game. Melendez throws it to this fan, so pumped. But he's like, you know what? No, I got to give the baseball to a kid. But then later in the game, Gooby, when Walsh hits the home run, the kid's dad's going to come up with the baseball. He's like, here you go. Now you got your ball back. You got two. He's like, you know what? No. This is incredible. Gives it back. That is so amazing. Look at that. He's like, no. She's like, that's so cute.
I'm just going to say both of those kids were raised right. That's all I'm going to say. Both of them were raised right.
Absolutely. I get goosebumps when they see stuff like that.
The dad didn't even have to ask the kid to give that ball to the other guy. Didn't even have to do it.
He just knew that's what
and that guy just automatically gave the ball to the little kid.
I get goosebumps. I get goosebumps when I see stuff like that. It's just like with a sport, again, look at the pure humanity, right? When you see thought of humanity restored, when I see stuff like this, I get goosebumps and I love to see it. Fantastic job by
his girlfriend is crying next to him.
She's like, I cannot believe this happened.
Yeah, I mean, good.
That smile, both of them, tremendous, absolutely tremendous.
It is fantastic by both of those people. I figured you'd get a kick out of it. I feel like the listeners would enjoy watching that as well.
I do like
it's goosebumps, a feel good moment on
like
TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
I like that. I love the feel good.
Everybody liked it too, Grumpy.
They're the best.
Want to share you. I think you've seen this one before, but maybe there are some who haven't. Now, I always get a kick when Bill Belichick talks about the time they brought Rob Gronkowski in to evaluate him as a player.
Yes, that's right. The greatest tight end in the history of the game retired again for the second time. I still think he's coming back mid-season. Going to go back to the Bucks. As soon as old Tommy Boy says, Robbie G, we need you back, baby. He'll come back.
So yes, this is why this is making rounds. But he's the during his prime, I think the greatest tight end that's played. A menace out there on the field when healthy. Always was. He's a first ballot Hall of Fame caliber tight end, despite the limited time he actually played. But this is Bill Belichick.
Played 11 years. Played 11 years. What do you mean limited time? He played 11 years.
How many of those years was he injured?
A lot. He missed a lot of games, but he played 11 years.
That's what I mean. It's limited. Okay, how many games do you think Rob Gronkowski played in his career? 11 seasons. How many? 16 games in the regular season for the majority of his career. How many games do you think he played over 11-year season or 11-year career?
130.
143.
No, there you go. That's a lot. That's a lot of games. And look at his numbers. And here's the thing. He's probably the greatest blocking tight end that ever lived, period. Like, oh, well, he's not as good as Tony Gonzalez. Tony Gonzalez never let a block out. Antonio Gates. They weren't blockers. They were receivers. This guy is like a third tackle. There were times where he would come in, Rob Gronkowski would come in, and he would have him block the defensive end. You know how many tight ends can do that? Virtually none. Particularly today. Tight ends today.
It's a tough ask.
What? Very, very tough. But he could block anyone. He was just that good. Always a team guy, too. even if you hated the Patriots, you liked Rob Gronkowski.
I don't know anybody who doesn't like Rob Gronkowski just because he's a goofy, lovable idiot.
I always refer to him
essential goofy jock. That's just
He's
like
like
a funny, happy-go-lucky jock.
he's a golden retriever puppy, is what he is. He just reminds me of a big, happy puppy.
Big
And
dumb dog.
oh man, I tell you, and I remember that when he retired the first time, you could just tell he was in so much pain. And I mean, he was crying up there. You knew he was just beaten down. He's just a happy kid. And he must have hated playing for Belichick. At the end, he did. He did.
I like when Belichick speaks about the first time he met Rob Gronkowski. And here this is, Grump.
What was everything going on with Gronk from the beginning?
Yeah, Rob was kind of a shot in the dark. He came up on his pre-draft visit.
I like how he starts off. Rob was kind of a shot in the dark.
Bullshit. He missed his whole junior year with back surgery. Otherwise, he was a shoo-in for a first-round pick. He was so supremely talented. And matter of fact,
still a third-round pick, wasn't he? Even though
he was a
missed
second-round pick. They had to trade up to get him because everyone was lining up to get him in the second round. He was not going to last their pick.
Yes, he was. He talks about it. He was. That's right. He's second-round pick, 42nd overall
from the beginning.
Yeah, Rob was kind of a shot in the dark. He came up on his pre-draft visit, had a bad visit.
We were so smart. We were so
put him
smart.
in a room.
Was that Grump?
We were so smart. Shot in the dark. We were so smart. I knew what I was doing with drafting him. It's all me. Maybe you thought it was him. It wasn't him. It wasn't him. It was me. It was me, Bill Belichick. Gronk should be one of my own children. Brady, just average. It's because I drafted him. 6th round pick. Didn't matter. He wasn't going to be anything. He comes here. It's because of me. That's why he's so good. Because of me.
Hey, when you're drafting as a general manager, when you're drafting over like a 20-year span, you're bound to draft a few Hall of Famers when you're accumulating a shit ton of picks. But I'll let it continue.
Had a bad visit. We put him in a room, came back. He was asleep on the floor. Didn't make it.
And for those unassociated or acquainted with it, so a team will fly you out there. They'll have you work out. They'll bring you in for like a few days. They'll get to know you. They're going to ask you a lot of questions. They want to understand about your personality. They ask you all these questions in pro days and at the combine, but they want to have a chance to have a one-on-one. They want to have a chance to measure on their own. They want to have a chance to get to know you a little bit more on a personal and intimate level is kind of how that goes.
Can I just say one thing? For a shot in the dark, let's say, hey, we're going to just shot in the dark on this kid. Just a shot in the dark.
Who knows? Pick is a shot in the dark.
And we bring him in and he's sleeping on the floor. Okay. If you're taking a shot in the dark, are you rolling the dice on a guy because a shot in the dark, if he's sleeping on the floor?
Not in the second round. Not in the second round. I'm not going on a guy who's classified as he's a shot in the dark.
Not ever. It's because he was so talented. They also got Aaron Hernandez in the 4th round that year.
In the same draft, but I'm sorry.
We put him in a room, came back. He was asleep on the floor. Didn't make a very good impression.
He was what? He was sleeping on the floor?
Yeah, well, I brought him in. We just kind of, we're getting ready to, have a meeting with the coaches and go through, and then fell asleep on the floor.
It happens.
It happens. Tony Gonzalez. It happens. Yeah,
sticking up for the guy. Falling asleep on the floor is pretty bad, though. I'll be honest with you. I'm saying he was one of those guys in college that was falling asleep during meetings, perhaps.
I remember him doing an interview saying what he learned at Arizona. Nothing. He said,
school or as a tight end?
I could barely read.
That's what he said?
Yeah. Yeah, look at this book here. He's got some big words. Didn't learn those at Arizona, I'll tell you that much.
God almighty.
So
what was he doing the night before?
I got a slow start there. Went to Arizona. Didn't do much as a freshman. Had a decent year as a sophomore. Caught 30 passes.
Had a decent year as a sophomore with 30 passes caught. He had such a decent year that he missed his entire junior season. But he played so well as a sophomore that even after missing your entire junior year, he still was an early 2nd round pick.
He would have been a 1st rounder. He absolutely would have been a 1st round pick if not for the back injury. It scares because look at him. Just look at him. And here's the thing: people don't realize. They look at him now. It's like, Yeah, he's not that fast. First of all, he's deceptively fast, first of all, even still, but he doesn't run anything like he used to.
No, he's been beaten. I mean, he's a gladiator, right?
Yeah,
Tight ends are
without a
modern day
doubt.
gladiators.
I mean,
Sure.
look at football names. Gronkowski. That's a football name. Butkus.
Yeah, as
Nick-
say Mike Ditka, football name.
Gronkowski. Holy crap. I think those Polish names lend themselves to football players. Just hard, steel, tough. My dad used to say, strong like bull, smart like tractor. I mean, but Gronk, that's a football name. Gronkowski.
Jesus.
Went to Arizona, didn't do much as a freshman, had a decent year as a sophomore, caught 30 passes, and then missed his junior year with back surgery, and then came out early for the draft. So there wasn't much to go on. We traded up for him, and we just kind of, bet that he would come through, and he certainly did. Big
Look at this shit.
through, and
From the first day when he was drafted, he's still a freaking goof. From the first day drafted to the absolute end, the guy's just a freaking goof. And there's his brothers, and I assume his family going nuts and bananas. He's
They used to have they used to go like in the bus. The whole family would go to games in the bus. Gronk.
Christ almighty.
A legend. A freaking legend. The greatest tight end ever, period. End of sentence, end of story.
When was it when Gronk, he'd like broken his hand or his elbow or something like that, and he was unable to play in games in the offseason? He just had like offseason surgery, and he went to appear in WWE like a like a SummerSlam or something like that. What did he do?
He won the 24/7 championship or some type of championship, some made up championship he won. But no, I don't know what the injury was. He had broken his forearm.
Maybe that's what it was. He had just come off of breaking his forearm, or still was just recovering, and he's out there WWE wrestling.
Yeah.
Anyway,
I don't know what the injury was, but I mean, he's
certainly did big time.
A freaking goof. A freaking goof at its finest.
He's a classic.
he's of a dying breed. Or he's honestly like a throwback to like what it was. I feel like if we went and take the clock back to just like a dumb jock.
He could have played in the 50s. In the 1950s, he could have played.
50s, 60s. I mean, he's definitely a throwback type player.
Absolutely.
Officially retired for the second time. We'll see if he stays retired.
Maybe he pulls a Brady. Never know.
Grumpy man, we're here at the end of the show, though. What do you want to say before we wrap things up? By the way, we will not be going live this Sunday. If there is a game 6, right? I guess I'll do something with Andy Francis and Phil's Facts to cover the Tampa Bay Lightning against the Colorado Avalanche. If there is a game 6, if not, Grumpy and I will not have a podcast, but we may be going live if the Stanley Cup Finals are still going on for game 6.
Yeah, I don't know.
Grumpy will be out of town.
Yes, true.
The only reason Grumpy will not be included.
Right. So I just want to say, and we're not doing the game tomorrow because I'm leaving tomorrow.
Correct.
So I want to say love and laughter to everyone who listens and even those who don't, from TJ and the Grumpy Old Man.
Thank you, everybody, for tuning into the show. Thank you for watching. Thank you for sticking around. Thank you, Grumpy Old Man.
My pleasure.
Have a great weekend. Have a great Friday. Have a fantastic Friday. Finish off the week strong. We'll see you guys on Wednesday on the Islanders Never Say Die podcast. If there's a game 6, I'll see you for game 6 on Sunday. If not, we'll see you Wednesday, Islanders Never Say Die podcast, and Thursday on TJ and the Grumpy Old Man. Until then, have a great time, and thank you again, Grumpy.
My pleasure.